In this video, I'm gonna tell you 5 ways plumbers will scam you. And if you hang around to the end, I'm gonna tell you what you can do to make sure that probably won't happen. Have you ever called a plumber or any other residential trade service or know someone who has and just thought, man, they robbed us or they robbed them? Look, if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know there are plumbers out there like that. So what I wanna do is I wanna tell you a few things to look out for and think about, because this may be happening and maybe even a way you can kind of check to see. But also I want you to hang around to the end and I'm going to tell you something that you can do to help protect yourself. So the very first thing is maybe sell you something you don't need. You know, that plumber that comes in and everything's fine. It's like, hey, you need one of these. Well, you know what? Chances are if you've lived in your house 5, 10, 20 years without it, maybe you don't need it. Now, don't get me wrong, there may be something that you want. Me, man, I love the latest, coolest stuff. So when I see stuff available, I'm always like, yeah, you're right, I want that. Now, if you want it, that's one thing. But don't just let them sell you something that you think, hey, I really don't need that, I really don't want that, that really wouldn't benefit me, but they really want to sell it to you really, really hard, so they're going to keep trying, and you buy it just to get them to stop. Maybe not what you want to do. Sorry. Okay. Just kind of realized I didn't have my Yeti. Number 2, tell you have roots in your sewer line when you really don't. Now, I know that sounds bad, but where I carry my sewer cameras out to get repaired, the guy that works there actually told me he had a plumber from one of the big name plumbing companies come in and literally pull the flash drive out of the camera. He said, man, I gotta have this. This is how I sell my sewers. He said, what do you mean? He says, well, I have a recording on here that is full of a sewer with roots, and I'll stick it in there and hit play and show it to them and tell them it's theirs. Now, that is just bad, okay? If people don't need something like that, I have no idea why a plumber would just try and sell it to them all the time, because to be honest, there's enough work out there for all of us to do. We can all stay busy and never even get caught up. So why somebody would just flat out lie to somebody like that really blows my mind. So what I tell people to do when you're out there, or the plumber says, hey, I want to show you a video and it's got, this is your sewer. This is what you're looking at. 2 things that I do. Number 1, before I do a recording, I always show me, I show the house, I show my car parked or my Jeep parked where it is, I show their car, anything I can show, that way they say, yeah, this is mine. Then I run the sewer camera down there and I never turn it off. Now I may hit pause if I'm getting up and locating or something like that, but I make sure it's theirs. But one thing that you can do, if he says, hey, this is a recording, say, will you do me a favor and go ahead and run the camera down there and let me see if the color goes out of his face. Because if he's just recorded this and it's not yours, you're not gonna see anything. And he may say, well, you know, man, I've already rolled everything back up. Well, it's okay, I'll wait. It doesn't take me just a second. Go ahead, run it down there again. Chances are, I mean, if you hadn't had any really major problems, he may be pulling your leg. So that's just a good way to check and say, hey, if you don't mind showing me real quick, I'd just like to see it for myself. Number 3, say they're replacing things that they don't. Y'all see my video, How to Stop a Running Toilet Guaranteed. In the top of the fill valve, there's a diaphragm, and I show you how to unlock it, pull that out, and clean it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard plumbers tell me they'll just clean the diaphragm valve and then they'll charge them for a minor rebuild. My thing is, look, if you're gonna sell somebody new parts to a toilet, take the time to put them in. Instead, they're sitting in there on the toilet playing Pokemon or something when they should be rebuilding the toilet. How can you know for sure? When they're done, ask them, where are the parts you took out? I'd like to keep those just to have to show my wife or husband or whoever. If they didn't pull any parts out, they're gonna have a hard time showing them to you and leaving them with you. So always ask them when they're done, when they said, hey, I changed this, this, and this. Just ask them, say, well, can I have the old parts, please? Again, when you see the color go out of their face, may make you think they may not have done what they said. Number 4, charge you for work they didn't do. Now this is one that really gets to me because just last weekend, I drove down to Austin, Texas. Well, my sister has a house down there and she told me, she said, hey, I had a friend of a friend coming by quarterly to check on the water filtration. They have well water. So they've got a UV filter, they've got a water softener, they've got a carbon filtration system. They have a great filtration system, but the guy told her the UV bulb is out. He says, and those are really expensive bulbs. Those things are like $500. And I need to charge you for coming out today. And then when I come back and actually change the bulb, it's gonna take a couple of more hours. Now, he charged her for that day. They set up a thing because he was supposed to be coming out quarterly to check on this and had already been paid for a lot of it. The problem is when I went out there and hit the reset button, gee, it fired right back up. No $500 bulb, no 2 or 3 hours worth of labor, no BS like that. So what's the deal? He's just trying to sell her work that he never did, or work that he never intended on doing. Now, I hate that somebody would do that, especially to my sister, because look, she knows a plumber. I just didn't want to have to go all the way to Austin to fix her problem. Now, number 5, this is one that gets me, and normally it's really at a bad time that this happens, meaning they collect money from you, they leave, and they never come back. Now, here's when this normally happens: when tornadoes come through, when storms are real bad, when there's a lot of damage and people are really trying to get out and take care of a lot of people. But here's the problem. That's when people are at their worst and they literally come by, take your money and say, hey, look, it's gonna be a $20,000 job. Give me 10 grand and I'll come back and get started tomorrow. You hand them 10 grand and they're gone. And guys, this happens a lot. You can see it on a lot of the news channels. Make sure that you know what kind of company you're dealing with. I mean, literally, we see it all the time where somebody comes out and collects 5 grand to get started on a job and they disappear. Now, don't get me wrong. If we're doing a big job, we will collect half up front, but you know what? We come back and finish the job. Why do we do that? We've had homeowners literally rip us off. Hey, do this $15,000 job, and then when you're done, they say, well, look, we're not gonna sell the house, we're gonna rent it out, so we're not gonna pay you. It's like, excuse me? I had crews over here, I had subs over here, I have materials, I have inspections, I have all this money invested in your job, and they're like, you know what? Do what you have to do. Man, what a way to ruin your day. So, what do? How do you protect yourself from a lot of these things? And look, if you've had anything like this happen to you before, do me a favor, leave a comment down below and tell me, what did a plumber or any other residential service provider do? Was it a handyman? Was it an electrician, a roofer? What was it? Now, how do you stop this from happening? A couple of different things. Number 1, go in and check out people's websites. Look at them. Are they a legitimate company? Does it look like they've been around for a while? Go in and look at reviews. And don't get me wrong, everybody gets bad reviews. Believe it or not, I've got a couple of them out there. But here's the thing. How do I respond to those reviews? How do I try to make things up to people? What am I doing to do the job right? And how old are my reviews? Are most of my reviews a week old? I may be a pretty new company, but if you can go look at the hundreds of reviews that I have out there and say, look, this guy's been in business for 5 years, okay? Do things like that. What are the reviews saying? Is somebody getting mostly good reviews, mostly bad reviews? Do they make sense? Do they know what they're talking about? Or did they just hire somebody to go in and give them a whole bunch of reviews? Because trust me, it happens all the time. So go in and read reviews, look at a website and see how long has this company been around and what have they been doing. Also, if you're in Texas and it's a plumbing company, you can go to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners website and go in and check and see, is that company licensed? When you call the company, ask, who's your master plumber? Go in and check and look at it. And also, remember the video I did about the guy pouring concrete down the drain? He already had disciplinary actions against his license. Had that general contractor or homeowner may have gone in and read it and saw where it said, they went in and evaded the financial responsibility to the customer, meaning they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They got paid for something and didn't do it. Yes, you know what? There are some bad plumbers out there, but just like every other trade, there's bad people in all of them. Make sure you're doing your due diligence to try to get out the best residential service provider that you can. Anyway, if you've had a problem before, leave a comment down below and let me know what it was and how it turned out for you. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the expert plumber. I'll see you in the next video if you don't get flushed.